waiting is intentional. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So in our series, we've been discussing a lot about how waiting is something that happens to us. When things suddenly happen and we weren't expecting it or we weren't prepared for it. And when waiting happens to us, meaning that that situation happens where you have no choice but to wait. But today I want to shift our perspective again. Waiting is not only something that happens to you, but it's actually something you can choose to do. And the question I want to ask you guys, for you just to consider for yourselves, is what would it look like for us to embrace waiting as an expression of obedience? So in verse 14, it reads like this. It says, "Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord." Do you consider yourself a follower of Jesus? Do you call yourself a Christian? If you do call yourself a Christian, waiting is not only a suggestion, but it's actually a command. Verse 14 is the conclusion of this song that David is writing, and I want us to understand how David comes to this very strong conclusion. So God is the one who brings light to his dark situations. God is the one who brings guidance and direction in the midst of his uncertainty, and therefore he can say with confidence, "The Lord is my light and salvation. Whom shall I fear?" When we consider that verse, how can we practice that verse? How can we be obedient to that verse? It requires confidence. David is laying the foundations. He's defining his source of his confidence. That his confidence comes from God, who is his, say it with me, light and salvation. Then verse 13, "I will remain confident of this." There's that word confidence again. "That I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord." This is a command to wait. Why would we choose to wait on God if we don't need to? I think this question implies that we only need God when we decide that we need him. And my friends, that is just simply not true. We need God all the time. Choosing to wait for God is an expression of obedience. That's what we said at the very beginning. I think of three things. One, I think of when Jesus himself taught us how to pray. What did he say? He said, "Father, your kingdom come, your will be done." Choosing to wait is praying that prayer. "Lord, your kingdom come, your will be done." Jesus also said, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life." How many of you have heard this one before? "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." We choose to wait because that's where God will give us what we need. We choose to wait because that's where God will give us what we need. And lastly, I thought of one other thing is when Jesus said this, he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Guys, we choose to wait because it keeps us from settling for less. We choose to wait because it keeps us from missing out on what God's best is for our life.